Well, let's talk about Down to the Honky Tonk a little bit because the first time I heard this song on the radio, I was like, wait,
You're like, this is a smash.
what? I was like,
That's what
what
you
is
said.
going on? Which is usually a good thing because then I got to the point of like, this is brilliant. It's
Yeah.
just a brilliant song.
Thanks, buddy.
But it's also like, it's one of those I think is deceptively simple. Like this kind of song could go like really cheesy really quickly, I think. And it's not. It's just so brilliant. So tell me about what boxes this checked off for you, this song, as a country music lover?
Well, yeah, thanks. And I'm glad you said that because I think you do know that after a lot of years of chatting and stuff that, country music's super special to me and the preservation of classic tonalities and stuff in music. And even though I love the evolution of music though too, I really do. And so to kind of blend the two together, my first record that I made over 10 years ago was pretty country record. And at the time I was opening up for Brooks and Dunn and Alan Jackson on the road. So I've learned from the best and been on tour with a lot of the great guys that have made great country music. And I felt like it was just time with the label here allowing me to do whatever I want to do. And Joey downstairs that took vision of anything I wanted to do and just made it better. It was a pretty cool time to be able to drop some pretty country songs on this album. I mean, I don't know if you've listened to the rest of it or not, but there's
a lot of
that's
really
not the only
country
one.
songs
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this album.
Yeah, thank you. That was my goal. I mean, I think anybody that knows me well knows how much I love country music and classic stuff. And so this has given me an opportunity to put those kinds of songs on this record. And thankfully to the momentum of Down to the Honky Tonk, it's opened a lot of doors for me to kind of continue to follow that lane a little bit.
I just really get excited whenever I hear steel guitar anywhere, in our orbit anymore. So to have this song be so country and just remind me of the wordplay that I've loved so much in country history,
Well, you talk about the wordplay, and that was what kind of came up for me on Homemade, because you're talking about it's my home made me, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Instead of like, at first, when I first read the title, I was like, this is like homemade biscuits. Like, what is this going to be about? But as I was listening through the song, it made me think
life.
about
It's about who I am right now is because I was, where I grew up, was, it's my dad was boss and Christ is king. And, and the whole home made me love a dirt road. Home made me
Sweet
crave
tea.
mom's ice cold sweet tea
Yeah.
that nobody made but her. And it made us want to settle down in a home made for the two of us. Like, there's so many cool lines in that song. And my buddy Jared Mullins was a writer on that. And he played it for me at my bar at my house and outside Nashville. And the minute he played it for me, I thought, man, I got to record this. This is going to fit perfect with the rest of these other songs that I'm recording right now. And I think it's just, again, that song's country, but it also kind of explains kind of who I am, why I am who I am, because of those values I have in my life. And then same with songs like River at Time on this album. It's kind of, we're drifting on to where we're going, but we're hanging on to what's left behind. I think we all do that in our life. And where I am, honestly, personally right now in the life with having this child and starting this great life with Erica, I love the line in River Time at the end that says, Daddy's in his easy chair and Mama's hair has turned gray, and she laughs and says it's all because of her young and wilder days. And I found a girl that makes me smile, and I'll never let her go. And growing old don't scare me none, because I believe in streets of gold. And I loved that aspect of the song, and honestly of this record, that in this business, like, growing old doesn't scare me. Like, getting older in this business, like, as I've had 10 years, and growing old, it doesn't scare me, because I believe that, like, there are these streets of gold here in Nashville and on the other side of life. Like, I believe that as you grow older in this business, you get better and you learn more about yourself and you learn more about explaining and expressing yourself through music. So there's just a lot of threads through this music and through my personal life that I believe is kind of what makes this album, like, very real to me. Yeah.
It just feels like a really personal record.
Thanks. Yeah, I hope it does. It's funny, as I mentioned someone earlier, there's a song on this record, it's my favorite, called In It. It's a very country song. And as I'm about to have a child with a beautiful woman, and we're starting our life together in this really special way, that song, if you listen to it literally and on that personal level, you'd be like, well, why is he talking about this? Who's this girl he's talking about? And I think that those types of songs for me are just looking back on life and thinking that, there are moments where I'm riding out of my car and it'll strike me like, hey, I wonder what so and so is doing right now. And like, did she ever think of me? You know what I mean? But not in a lustful way. Like, who doesn't do
Yeah,
that,
but
right?
we all have those moments.
My mom, like, tells me about her high school boyfriend David. She's been married to my dad for 40 years, but every now and then she'll tell me about David, this guy that used to paint his Volkswagen different colors every few months and pick her up. But it's like, I go, wow, mom must think about David every now and then too. It's just like those younger years of growing up to be who you are and like what made you you. And I think all of that combined and is what this record is. It's what's made me me. And I think the cover, like the artwork explains that. Like, it's
Greetings from Jake Owen, which to me says like Jake Owen is now a destination.
No, no, what it should say is like, I feel like in my musical path and career, it's been a journey, man.
Yeah.
And I told this when we came up for this concept, for the idea, I said like my whole life growing up in Florida is like everywhere I'd go, right when you're walking out of the store, there was like the carousel of postcards, and there was always the greetings from Florida or greetings from Vero Beach. And I would just, that memory always stuck in my mind. But where I am now in my career, I feel like I've had a lot of years on this journey, and here I am after taking a bit of a departure from my old life and the label at Sony and creating this new life here. And I haven't really checked in with anybody in a while. Like, I put out songs, but people have been asking, when's the new record coming? So to me, this was like a check-in from my journey of like, hey, y'all, I'm doing just fine. Like, here's a bunch of music to check out, really explain about like where I am in my journey and on this trip. And like on any trip, somebody's going to check in and send a postcard. So it was kind of that thought for me of like, this is where I am and where I'm going.